"Hold my beer," Wes muttered, tossing the frosted can to a bewildered alien dignitary as he sprinted toward the decommissioned starfighter bolted to the platform. Everyone laughed. They always did when the humans showed up. Unpredictable, noisy, reeking of fried oil and sarcasm, yet tolerated like a toddler with a flamethrower. The Galactic Forum was mid-session discussing border trade when the insult slipped. Zarnai General Thoric, half metal and twice as smug, casually joked, "Let the humans juggle explosives again. Maybe they'll remove themselves from the species register." Wes didn't respond. He didn't blink. He just smirked like something inside him had clicked. Then came the phrase. It meant nothing to the aliens. A cultural glitch, a linguistic dead spot. But for humans, it was the ignition key. The vessel he launched toward wasn't even functional. It was a historic display, one of Earth's prototype fighters from their early orbital era. Stripped, cracked, no nav AI. Still, Wes threw himself into the cockpit and began flipping manual toggles like he was born in that chair. Bystanders thought it was a joke, until the engines ignited. The laughter stopped the moment the fighter lifted, wobbling on uneven thrust. Comms channels lit up. Emergency overrides were denied. Earth ships never built standard failsafes. The museum piece roared off the platform, tearing past ceremonial banners, clipping a decorative satellite, and vanishing in a streak of ionized air. Delegates screamed. Security scrambled. The Zarnai general looked visibly pale under his synth skin. What no one realized, what Wes had picked up on in the crowd noise, was a whispered transmission between two cloaked vessels hovering beyond the station. Pirate slang, pre-invasion recon chatter, buried in a communication leak, lost in the party ambience. But Wes had served 3 tours in fringe space. He knew the dialect, knew the scent of an ambush wrapped in silence. Hours passed before the starfighter reappeared, scorched and sparking. No one expected it to return. A dozen medships prepped for recovery. But Wes wasn't injured. He was grinning. Onboard logs were downloaded and played across the forum's central holotable. High-res footage of an entire pirate armada idling in stealth just beyond the system's edge, ready to jump. His mad dash through the unstable binary cluster knot only caught them off guard. It spooked them. Their ships scattered under the assumption Earth had found them intentionally. A single human in a defunct craft had caused the enemy to retreat. Not with diplomacy, not with force, just audacity. The Galactic Forum froze. No speeches, no applause. Just the realization that the thing every alien thought was a punchline had just redefined threat assessment. The Aolari tactician finally broke the silence with a flat voice that chilled the air. "New protocol," she said. "If a human says those words again, raise the threat level to maximum, immediately." The database entry was simple. Hold my beer, category, human colloquialism. Status, catastrophic precursor. Galactic Command had flagged the phrase as a universal red alert trigger. That's not an exaggeration. After Wes Calder's stunt, incidents began stacking up. Commander Rolvek of the Shard Dominion had been tasked with compiling the full report. What started as a curiosity turned into a strategic nightmare. There was a pattern, always the same. A human uttered the phrase, committed to something monumentally ill-advised, and somehow turned the laws of probability inside out. Ulvek's first case study involved a deep space freighter leaking plasma near a black hole. While other crews evacuated, a human engineer named Tasha climbed onto the hull with a roll of duct tape, bubble gum, and a sealed cup of espresso. Before beginning her field repair, she smiled at the station cam and said, the phrase. Against all logic, she patched the breach, rerouted thermal feedback, and used a grappling drone to slingshot the freighter away from the event horizon. The footage went viral in 3 systems. She earned a commendation and a ban from all certified repair teams. Then came the infamous Dreadmoon incident. A battle-hardened human marine volunteered to manually pilot a warhead straight into a Zarnai dreadnought's hangar bay after its shielding adapted to energy weapons. No drones worked. No codes cracked the hull. He adjusted his helmet, climbed into a grav-rigged pod, turned to his team and said, "Hold my beer." The warhead detonated inside the enemy ship. He walked out of the explosion 3 hours later with minor burns and half a sandwich still in his pocket. There was even the diplomat from New Canberra who, during a standoff at the Skyglass elevator, leapt off the upper strut to prove his point, that physics and courage could coexist. He activated personal anti-grav boots at the last second and landed mid-negotiation chamber. The alien delegation signed the treaty before he finished adjusting his tie. These weren't isolated flukes. The pattern emerged in military simulations, colony construction, trade disputes, even first contact missions. Whenever the phrase was uttered, reality itself seemed to recoil. Some species suggested it was a form of primitive magic. Others theorized quantum-linked intuition. The Galactic Archive simply updated the glossary. If a human says, "Hold my beer," anticipate events outside known statistical bounds. Eventually, security systems across advanced civilizations were hard-coded to monitor for the phrase, in Terran Standard or any translated variants. The presence of it in any conversation elevated risk forecasts by 300%. Even war councils debated placing covert translators in human bars, not for espionage, but as early warning systems. By now, the phrase wasn't a joke, it was a harbinger. Civilizations that had once dismissed humans as unpredictable now viewed that unpredictability as something worse, uncontrollable. And every time it was said, the question wasn't if something was about to explode, it was how big the crater would be. The Zarnai Empire was done being humiliated. After a string of losses where their technological superiority had been undermined by what they called barbaric improvisation, the high strategists convened in shadow. Enough diplomacy. Enough watching their dreadnoughts get outmaneuvered by humans duct-taping explosives to mining drones. Operation Final Ember was approved. A covert fleet deployed to the Sol system, armed with silence, stealth, and overwhelming force. The plan was simple: decapitate Earth's defense grid before they even knew a war had started. The fleet hid beyond the solar rim, under cloaking fields that bent space itself. Nothing in the known galaxy could detect them. They filtered Terran chatter in real time, hunting for signs of suspicion. There were none. Human military posts appeared relaxed. Civilian comms were full of memes and food debates. The Zarnai commander, Admiral Krulek, was moments from initiating the strike when one particular broadcast hit their sensors. It was a shaky handheld video, no encryption, no military seal. Just a grinning human soldier on Earth's moon, standing beside a strange, oversized cannon-like device cobbled together from repurposed satellite parts, storm barrier coils and glowing tech no one could identify. The soldier looked at the camera, raised a can of beer, and said with unbearable cheer, "Hey fellas, hold my beer." Every Zarnai ship lit up in alarm. Data streams twisted. Predictive AIs flagged an existential risk. Krulek barked for immediate disengagement, but it was too late. The cannon fired. It didn't launch a projectile. It tore space like paper, a pulse rippling outward that unspooled cloaked frequencies across vast distances. The stealth field collapsed. Every ship in the hidden fleet was revealed in orbit. On Earth's side, automated defense satellites, long considered dormant relics, activated without hesitation. It wasn't even a battle. The exposed Zarnai fleet was shredded in under 7 minutes. The survivors didn't regroup. They fled, terrified. No retaliation orders were given. The Admiral's final log was simple. "We came in silence. They responded with madness." News of the event spread faster than light. The footage from the moon was dissected by every galactic intelligence agency. No one could figure out what the cannon was made of. Some claimed it was experimental tech. Others believed it was just junk, powered by misplaced confidence and pure human audacity. Whatever it was, the implications were worse. The weapon wasn't aimed at the enemy. It had been a test, a casual experiment. The soldier hadn't known the Zani were even there. And yet, without intention, a human had just forced one of the galaxy's dominant empires into full retreat, by accident. The phrase "hold my beer" was now burned into every species' emergency lexicon. It wasn't just a warning anymore. It was prophecy. And the galaxy understood something terrifying. Humans didn't need time to prepare, or overwhelming numbers, or superior tech. They just needed a bad idea, and the sheer will to see it through. The summit that followed was quiet, tense, and nothing like the fiery debates that usually defined galactic diplomacy. No arguments, no objections, just silent agreement that humans were no longer to be viewed as unpredictable allies or amusing anomalies. They were now officially categorized as Level 1 existential variables. Not enemies, not threats. Something more complex. Something worse. Something that didn't fit in neat boxes or clean equations. The phrase, "hold my beer," had triggered more emergency council sessions in the last 3 years than any war declaration in galactic history. The problem wasn't just the phrase, it was what followed. Success through impossible odds, actions that rewrote physics, moments where reality twisted around raw, illogical human resolve. The council couldn't rationalize it. They had advanced algorithms, predictive modeling, behavioral analytics. None of them worked on humans, because humans didn't follow rules. They dared them. Some believed humans were dangerous by nature. Others argued they were just playful, chaotic, and absurdly lucky. But neither side could deny one fact. No civilization had ever survived long after underestimating them. The phrase had become a trigger phrase in war simulations. Every galactic AI now ran failsafes. If "hold my beer" was detected in real time, all outcomes involving humans shifted from containable to cataclysmic. Still, not everything was fear. Stories leaked from battlefronts, whispered by soldiers and commanders who had fought alongside humans. They spoke of a bizarre loyalty, a recklessness that somehow felt protective. Humans would throw themselves into impossible odds to save allies they'd just met. They'd laugh in the face of certain death, not because they were fearless, but because they refused to die without having lived. One alien medic recounted a story of a human pilot whose ship was hit during a joint strike. She lost navigation, half her hull and her comms, yet still managed to guide the craft into the enemy's power grid, disabling the entire defense array. When they pulled her from the wreckage, she was unconscious, but her cockpit recording had one final line: "If this works, someone owe me a drink." Human bars across the stars proudly display those words now, engraved above doors, lit in neon. To them, it's a joke. To the rest of the galaxy, it's a warning label in disguise. On a remote outpost orbiting the fringes of the neutral zones, a young alien recruit asked his superior a simple question after watching a replay of the moon cannon incident. Why do we always panic when they say that phrase? The officer didn't look away from the tactical readout as he answered. Because it means they're about to do something stupid, and stupid works when it's them. The recruit frowned. So what do we do if we hear it again? The officer finally turned, eyes grim. You don't fight it. You evacuate, pray, and hope you're not standing near whatever they're about to accidentally reinvent.